Hello, my name is David Dedakian, and I run Eat Drink Rhode Island. At the end of this pandemic year, I thought it might be great to gather together a bunch of my friends and do a virtual festival for you. I know it's not the same. You can't taste the food, you can't drink the wine, but we couldn't have an Eat Drink Rhode Island festival this year, and so I'm trying to bring a little bit of the Eat Drink Rhode Island festival to you. I've got a lot of great friends here doing cooking demonstrations, wine tastings, cocktail making, all sorts of things. We've got Nick's on Broadway, Newport Vineyards, Ocean State Oyster Cooperative, Shepherd's Run, Yacht Club Soda, White Dog Distilling, and of course some cooking demonstrations with meat from Blackbird Farm. So sit back, enjoy, take a load off your mind, especially this year, and check out some of the great local food and drink we've got here in our virtual Eat Drink Rhode Island Festival. Thank you for watching. So today we've got cocktails. We've got sodas from Yacht Club Soda and some spirits from White Dog Distilling in Pawtucket. Yacht Club Soda's in North Providence, all local as always. And with us today is John Gambato, the owner of Yacht Club Soda, and Alicia and Carlo Catucci, the owners of White Dog Distilling. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, David.
So, John, why don't you tell us a little bit about Yacht Club Soda?
Yacht Club Soda is a 105-year-old family business. We've been making sodas on site since for generations. We have a very large variety and a ton that go great with cocktails.
It's true, absolutely true. And Alicia and Carlo, I know you've got a lot of spirits there in Pawtucket, but you haven't been around for 105 years yet.
No.
not even close.
That would be nice.
Someday.
Just over a little over 2.5 years we've been operating. And, we make whiskey, bourbon, flavored moonshines, limoncello, rum, and gin.
Yeah, they're great products. I mean, some of them lend themselves straight to sipping, but some of them are great cocktail mixes as well. They're all great cocktail mixes, but some are a little better that you want to sip on their own. And so, Alicia, what did you make with John's sodas?
So I had a little fun and made a Yacht Club punch because it is the holidays. You can have punch all year round, but people seem to lean more towards it on the holidays. So I took on the challenge. I wanted to do all Yacht Club. So simulating a punch, I used Lella's Limoncello. It's neutral base spirit that we infuse with lemon zest, notably an Italian spirit, and mixed it with 3 of Yacht Club sodas.
Sounds fantastic. So let's take a look at that video and watch you make a punch.
Thank you. So we are making a holiday punch that is 100% local. So we are making it with all the flavors that you would typically find in a punch. Punches usually have like fruit juice or citrus, some spice, meaning ginger ale, and are commonly made with vodka or rum, but you can use any spirit you would like. So there's a reason behind everything we chose. So we are using Yacht Club sodas, and I chose Lella's Limoncello. So that's typically limoncello is made with a neutral base spirit. In this case, it's our moonshine, and then it's made with lemon zest and sugar. So it's already a bit sweet, and all the citrus that you would find in a punch is the lemon and the limoncello. So that's why I chose to use that. And then Yacht Club, we got to have a lot of fun with that. So this is a sparkling punch because we are using all Yacht Club sodas. So we use Mercy's Brown Blood Orange Mango Soda. So you're going to get citrus, you're going to get tropical. And then we add the pineapple soda, again, tropical. And then the spice, ginger ale. We are using a little more ginger ale to add that ginger, that spice that you find in a punch. And so because it's ginger ale and tends to be lighter than ginger ale, we're gonna use more of that. But it's a lot of fun because you really get to try the gamut of Yacht Club sodas. And this cocktail can also be made as a mocktail. It's fun for the whole family. So if you're to make the mocktail, you just do it without the limoncello and use all the other ingredients. And then it's fun for everybody. All right, so let's have some fun here. So Lella's limoncello. Ooh. Gonna use 2 ounces of that. And then 2 ounces of the blood orange mango. 2 ounces of the pineapple soda. And then 4 ounces of the ginger ale. And it'll take you right to the top of your glass. And you're going to use any large fun glass that you have. I happen to have this ornament ball-like glass, which would be great for the holidays, Christmas, New Year's. This punch will take you right through. And then I like to add a little freshness to my cocktails always. So the sparkling soda is going to give you effervescence, which will give pizzazz on your palate, and that's a lot of fun. But you also just want a little bit of freshness. So we're going to squeeze in a lemon. I'm sorry, that was a lime. Lime, lemon, and then we're going to add a cinnamon stick. This will be add to the spice, and I really liked smelling this, and it's fun to stir in your glass. It's fun to stir everything together. You do not want to shake this cocktail because it is soda-based. It's all sparkling. If you shake this, it'll be one hot mess, and that's no fun. We're all about fun, always, holidays or not. So you can use that to stir up your glass and let it sit in there. And depending on your glass, you might need a straw. I have a little straw here. And then take a little sip. And I really like how that feels off the bat, but what I really love about this is 2 minutes from now, if you can manage to not drink it that fast, that cinnamon stick is really going to infuse in there, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's really going to remind you what time of year it is, and you're staying at home, but it doesn't matter because you're sipping local, and it tastes really good. So this is the Yacht Club Soda Punch and Lella's Limoncello, brought to you by yours truly at White Dog Distilling, our friend John at Yacht Club Soda, and have a happy holiday season. Cheers.
So thanks very much for that cocktail, Alicia. That looked absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to try it myself. John, oh, you're welcome. Absolutely. John, why don't you tell us where we can find Yacht Club and how we can get some Yacht Club?
The easiest place is come right to the factory store in North Providence. It's 2239 Mineral Spring Avenue, North Providence. We're open 9 to 5, Monday through Saturday. And if you can't make it out, we do ship nationwide. 12-pack carriers is yachtclubsoda.com.
Excellent. And Alicia and Carlo, how do we get some of that delicious White Dog Distilling products?
You can stop by 560 Mineral Spring Ave in Pawtucket, and you can see our shop and tasting room and all the different spirits that we offer and cocktail kits to go.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all very much. I really appreciate it. Have yourselves a happy holidays.
You too. Thank
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Stay safe.
With me now is Andy Teixeira, the chef at Newport Vineyards and Brick Restaurant there. Andy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Dave. How are you, sir?
It's always nice to see you. So tell us a little bit about Newport Vineyards.
Oh, so Newport Vineyards, we're here in Middletown, Rhode Island. We are a 100-acre vineyard that has a winery, a brewery, 2 restaurants, a function facility. It's adult Disney up here in Middletown.
Yes, it is.
And, it's the best way to describe it. Great little market where we sell some of the things we make here and some local artisanal items. And we're just a growing company in many different ways.
Sounds fantastic. So what are you doing here today for us?
So we did a little scup demo. We got some beautiful scup from our friends at Narragansett Bay Lobster and showed you how to fillet it, how to stuff it, and just how to, handle a fish that not too many people would actually, tend to just jump right in and play with.
It's a good point, but it's a delicious fish. I love scump. And so
absolutely delicious. And I think that's, one of the reasons it's very underutilized.
Agreed. So you've got obviously the winery and also a brewery there. What do you think you'd pair with the scump?
Oh, I mean, it would all be, personal, how you're preparing it. Some of our nice crisp wines would be wonderful with it. This time of year, I would even get in a little bit of the Rody Coyote hard cider. Our cider is not your typical. It's really crisp. It drinks almost like a wine cider. And then, I mean, if you're a beer person, any of our brewers are constantly, Kevin and John, our owner, are constantly rotating the brews. And we always have those great fruity IPAs that are just, I think with any of them would go well, with what we're up to here.
Sounds fantastic as always, Andy. Thanks so much for taking your time today. Really appreciate it. Good seeing you, and happy holidays.
You as well, Dave. Thank you so much for having me, and you have a great holiday, and happy holidays to everyone else out there.
Hi, everybody. My name is Andy Texar. I'm the executive chef of Newport Vineyards, Bricks Restaurant, and Taproot Brewing Company. My good friend Dave Dedekian asked me to do a little scup film for you about this wonderful fish we have here. This is scup. This is a Rhode Island caught scup. I'm going to show you a couple different ways to cook it. We're going to stuff it, which is my favorite way. We do a smaller version here with the scup, and then we do a giant version with striped bass, which Dave has had at some of my events before. So first up, we have a beautiful scup that we got from Narragansett Bay Lobster. Tom over there takes really good care of us, gives us the most beautiful seafood we can possibly get. So what I like to do is I like to wipe them down, give them a nice wipe, and you can have your fishmonger scale it and gut it, which I have Tom do for us. We go through a lot of fish, and it just helps if he does that for us. And what I like to do for the whole roasted is I like to take these little fins off right here, because they kind of get in your way when you're roasting them whole. So we cut these little guys off right here, and you can save these for stock. And then what I like to do is I'll take and make a few incisions like so, a couple more this way like so. And this works perfect for like solo, you and your loved one cooking, because we have to stay at home now, so we're only cooking for us. So 2 of these will feed the whole family. One will feed you one person if you're really hungry. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take some thyme, some parsley, some smashed garlic, some lemon, and some bay leaves that I got from my grandfather's tree in Madeira when we were there last Christmas. Put some of these bay leaves. You don't have to use Grandpa's bay leaves unless you go to Madeira. I'll give you the address. You can more than likely go pick some. The tree's massive. And then we're going to hit this with a little bit of black pepper on the inside of the cavity here. And then we're going to stuff all this wonderful herbs and garlic in there. And then last but not least, we got to shove a bunch of butter in there as well. So once we get that in there, this sucker's ready for the grill. The only other thing you want to do right now is you can throw a little butcher string around it. This helps just make sure, keeps everything together for you, keeps everything in there nice and tight, like a nice Christmas package. We're just going to give it 2. And now, right before you put this on the grill, you want to preheat your grill. If you don't, it's a little cold out right now, so if you don't want to dig the grill out, we still use ours. But my wife just discovered the broiler in my house. It's like become a joke now that it's not just a place to store pans, and she's become like the broiler master. She's broiling everything, and she's really good at it. So you could put these, salt and pepper them, a little bit of oil, trim up your strings like so. And you could put this in the broiler for about 7 minutes per side, and you'll get a beautiful, flavorful piece of fish that you can just flake off and eat. Thank you, and now we'll get into filleting. All right, now we're gonna fillet one of our scup. Another thing we like to do is we like to fillet these guys. They are delicious little fillets. We're actually making our Rhode Island fish Sammys with them right now. We bred them in Professor Torbert's cornmeal, which is a organic corn flour from Indiana that we found a wonderful farm that sells that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fillet this guy. So again, we wipe him down, and now we're gonna come in, we're gonna take a nice sharp fillet knife, and we're gonna make our cut right along the gill plate, right along to the corner of the head like so. So we get our cut right in here, we come around here, and we come right in under our collar here. And then now we take our fish and we lay it like this, and we put our hand on there ever so gently just to stabilize the fish. We don't want to mash the fish. And we're going to take our knife and we're going to run it right along this bone right here, right along the backbone. We're just going to come in, we're going to let the knife do the work. Just come in and try to make one nice long even cut. All right, and then what happens is there's the middle bone right there going down the middle. We're going to come to that bone, we lift up a little bit here so we can see beautiful fillet. And then we want to angle our knife down a little bit because the way the bone is, it's rounded. So we're coming in and then we're going to come up and over so we don't lose any of the meat. So again, we can flip our knife over, we come here and release there. And then now we come through here like so. And you'll cut through some of the bones. We can trim that up after. And then we have our beautiful fillet that comes off right here, just like so. And then now, on the other side it's a little trickier. You tend to want to handle the fish this way. So we're going to make our same cut like so. And we're going to turn the fish now facing away from us, and we're going to make the same all the way down. Then we get in there. Lift up that fillet a little bit, angle our knife down, release at the tail, cut it through. And we release right here. Come on, it's caught on a bone. We can just come here. Now we have our fillet here. Now we're going to have a little bit of pin bone here. Now these bones don't really pull out, so what we're going to do is we're going to make a little J cut. So we're going to cut right along there, and then the bones kind of curl this way, so we make a little cut here, and then I like to make just another little cut here, and we're just going to pull out this little bone section right here. And now you have a beautiful fillet. Now this is ready to pan fry, skin side. You can make a couple little scores in it. All right, salt and pepper, pan fry, get a nice crispy skin. You can bread it and fry it, but it makes really good fish and chips. Scup is great for lots of things, baked fish, pan fried fish. The other thing now is we have a bunch of meat still on this guy, so we don't want to lose all this. So what we can do is we can take a spoon or your knife, and you can scrape all this meat that you missed here. And then if you want to make a fish chowder or fish cakes, this is great meat. And the same thing with these collars. You can roast the collars. There's the cheeks. You got some meat there. We tend to use our meat, some of the belly meat and stuff for our fish cakes, and then we'll make stocks and fumets with the heads. Thank you all for watching. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and have a safe and Happy New Year.
Hello, I'm going to show you how to make a quick and easy pulled pork. Normally a pulled pork, a cut like this here, takes a long, slow time to cook. And that's because it's a very tough, a lot of connective tissue, a lot of fat, but it still is the world's greatest pork because it's Blackbird Farm, 100% American Heritage Berkshire pork. But still, it's the shoulder, it's this area here, it gets a lot of working on it. So you want low, slow cooking. But I'm going to show you how to do it with a pressure cooker because I love a pressure cooker. They're very easy to get, especially the electric ones. Instant Pot's a big brand name that everyone knows, but it doesn't have to be an Instant Pot. And I'm going to do that in the Instant Pot tomorrow. But to start today, we need to cure this piece of pork shoulder. Very simple cure. Half a cup of sugar into a zip top bag. Half a cup of kosher salt. Same zip top bag. Take a piece of pork, put it in the zip top bag. Seal it up. Now I keep all this in a bowl just in case there's any leaking of liquid, because what the cure is going to do is it's going to make the meat really nice and tender. Also fill it full of good flavor because of that salt. Now you're saying, wait, you're not going to rub your pulled pork? Yes, we're going to rub it tomorrow when we put it into the Instant Pot. But today, we're just going to cure it. So now, take the bag, shake all that sugar and salt all over your pork. Get it nice and coated. Like I said, you're going to see a lot of liquid come off this pork because of this cure, and that's why I keep it in this bowl, just in case there's any drips from the bag. You want to keep this cure in here on the pork for at least 6 hours, preferably overnight. If you do it overnight, give it a flip every now and then to let that cure to redistribute itself. And like I said, you're going to see a lot of juices come out of this pork, and that's going to make it really tender and really fantastic. So when we come back to the video through the magic of television, I'll show you how to cook this in the Instant Pot. So now it's the next day. We've got our pork cured in this bag, and as you can see, there's a lot of liquid in that bag, as I mentioned. So we want to take it out of the bag and give it a little rinse in cool water to get the remainder of this cure off it. So just rinse it like this. Grab some paper towel and pat it dry, because you're going to want to rub it next, and you don't want rub on wet, soggy meat. Drop it in the bowl there. And then I will wash these porky hands and continue with this next. So we've got our pork shoulder here, nice and dry, after rinsing off all the cure. And now I'm going to rub it. So this is a rub that I made. You can use something you like. You can use something commercial you can buy from the store. There are a lot of actual locally made rubs. I know the Ocean State Pepper Company makes some great spice blends. Got a Q Barbecue up in Cumberland sells their own rub. My friend John owns a store down in Wakefield called Pepper Junction. He's got all sorts of barbecue rubs there. So you can check out those or make your own. Sprinkle it on liberally. I use a lot of herbs in my rubs, but also paprika, smoked paprika, since I'm not actually smoking this. Gives a nice added sense of smoke to it. Obviously, if you're going to do this out on the smoker, you might use a different flavor profile, but this is what I'm using for the pressure cooker, as you can see here to my left. Pork shoulder. So get all your rub on there. All right. Rub's in place. So with the pressure cooker, this is an electric pressure cooker, as I mentioned, an Instant Pot, but it doesn't have to be an Instant Pot. You're going to use 1.5 cups of liquid for this size pulled pork shoulder. This is about a 3-pound shoulder. So in goes 1.5 cups of liquid. I'm using a combination of apple cider that I happen to press myself. You don't have to do that, obviously. Apple cider vinegar, because I like some tang, some nice vinegary sense to the liquid, and then some chicken stock that I made. So meat, just making sure the rub is all on there in all the nooks and crannies of this shoulder. 1.5 cups of liquid. Into the pressure cooker it goes. As I said, you could use a stovetop model, an electric model, whatever you like. You also don't have to buy the R2D2 wrap for it, but I highly recommend it. On goes the lid, and you can use one of the settings on your pressure cooker if you know what settings you like. I'm just going to go straight for a pressure cook of 1 hour and 15 minutes on this. Probably should have set this before I did the video, but here we go. There we are. Let that go. It'll start in a second. Make sure your pressure release valve on top is closed. I'm going to cook this for an hour and 15 minutes. It'll just be like cooking it in a slow cooker for hours and hours, or in your stove for hours and hours. And when it's done, what I do is unplug it so that it doesn't go into the keep warm feature. We don't need that for this. And then let it slowly release its pressure naturally. So we'll come back in about an hour and 15 plus maybe 20 minutes to half an hour for the pressure to release and show you the final product. So the Instant Pot has finished its pressure cycle cook. I unplugged it so it didn't go into keep warm mode. The plunger here that tells you that it's under pressure has dropped. So let's open it up. And as you can see, we have a beautifully cooked pork shoulder. I'm going to move it here into this baking dish next to me. Carefully, it's going to have a lot of liquid and heat. So you can see that pork bone fell right out. And I'm going to place this into a 550 degree oven for about 5 to 10 minutes. You're going to want to watch it, and it'll get a nice bark on the outside of this pork. Not going to put the bone in with it. It's just fun to have. Now we're not going to waste this liquid. Put the pork back here until the oven comes up to 550 degrees. We're going to strain the liquid. This is a delicious pork broth, technically a stock since there was bone in there. You can see there's a layer of fat already forming. You're going to want to skim that off, or if you're not going to use it tonight, you can put this in the fridge. Tomorrow, just lift that layer of fat right off. And so this stock would be great for, since there is a lot of apple juice, apple cider and apple cider vinegar, along with the chicken stock that I use to braise the pork, plus all the pork juices and the pork fat. There's a lot of uses for this. Probably be really great for a sauce. That'd be my first indication. I wouldn't cook anything in it because it may be a little too salty and a little too much vinegar, but it'd be great base for sauces and things of that nature. Make a barbecue sauce if you want. So once the oven's up to temp, I'll put the pork into it, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. So that timer means my 10 minutes is up. And look at this pork. That is some beautiful bark formed on the outside. Nice and crispy, but the inside will be definitely soft and luscious. I can't wait to pull into this, but first we gotta let it cool a little bit. Once it cools, I'll shred it up. I tend to like to use my hands, but of course you can pull with forks or anything like that. And once that's cooled and I've done it, I'll show you the final product. So here is the pork, all shredded up. Looks fantastic. There's another step you can do. It's an optional step, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take this now, maybe splash a little bit of those juices on here, depending on how much fat's in here. There's a good amount of pork fat in here, but maybe a little more juice would do well. Throw a little salt on top, or more rub if you want, completely up to you. Then I'm gonna stick it under the broiler for a couple minutes to get this nice and crispy. If you like your pulled pork softer, leave it like it is right now, and take it to the table. And after a couple minutes in the broiler, under the broiler, nice and crispy on top. And there you have it, the final dish. Blackbird Farm, 100% heritage, Berkshire, pulled pork. Thanks for watching this video. There's lots more to come. Hello, with me now is Katie Martin. She's with the Ocean State Shellfish Cooperative based down in Narragansett, and they've got a great video coming up for us. Katie, why don't you tell us a little bit about the cooperative and what you've got there?
Thanks, David. I appreciate you having me here today. So the Ocean State Shellfish Cooperative is basically a partnership of several oyster farmers who came together in the early 2000s because we realized that we had more power in the market to consolidate some of our overhead and share resources. And we can really market all of our oysters to outside markets together and really move more product and keep all the farmers busy and working at maximum production.
Fantastic. And what are some of the farms you've got there?
Some of the farms we have are down in Ninigret. We have Ninigret Oyster Farm, Rob Kraus. We've got East Beach Oyster Farm and East Beach Oyster Company, Jim Arnaud and Nick Papa. We have Quaney Rock, who's also Jim Arnaud. We've got Moonstone. So we've got a quick video for you, just giving you a nice demonstration of how to shuck an oyster. We used sea-kissed oysters from Nick Papa and Jim Cregan out in Narragansett Bay, grown just off the coast of Watson Farm in Jamestown. And they're beautiful hard-shell oyster that shucks lovely and has a really, really nice briny liquor.
Love it. I love a raw oyster. They're not as hard to shuck as people might think. You should definitely buy some raw oysters and do it at home. It's great fun.
Absolutely. I shucked a few myself, and while they weren't as beautiful as the ones that Graham shucked, they were certainly edible.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't have to be beautiful as long as you can eat it.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Thank you very much, Katie. I really appreciate your coming on and doing this for us today. Have a great holidays.
Thank you. You as well. Merry Christmas, everybody. Eat more oysters.
Absolutely.
Hi everybody, it's Katie Martin from the Ocean State Shellfish Co-op, and today I'm here with Graham Brawley, who I'm going to give some room so he can show us how to shuck an oyster properly.
Hi folks, Graham Brawley from the Ocean State Shellfish Co-op. Katie often gets questions about how to shuck an oyster. Folks want to buy oysters for the home, but they don't know how to shuck them themselves. So today, I'm going to demonstrate how to shuck an oyster at home. So there are a couple things. One is that on a solid counter, I like to use a chopping block or a cutting board. It gives me a good platform to put the oysters on. I also like to use a dish towel to help protect and give me some sort of anti-skid on that cutting board. So let's get to know the top and the bottom of the oyster. Flat shell is the top. Bottom shell is the rounded, that's the cup of the oyster. And we're going to start by getting the very point of the blade into the hinge. Put the oyster down on the washcloth, fold the washcloth over the edge. Put the point of the blade into the hinge and start to work it in and at the same time prying. Once you feel the point of that blade get into the hinge, you can pop that hinge open. So you see, that point is in the hinge. Pop the top. So now that the hinge is popped, now we have to cut the oyster meat from the top shell and the bottom shell. We'll start with the top. Run the knife along the top shell through that adductor muscle to cut it free. Now the adductor muscle is also attached to the bottom shell. So get your knife against the bottom shell, scraping across that bottom shell to free that oyster meat. There you go. Shucked an oyster. Best shellfish on the planet here at the Ocean State Shellfish Co-op.
Okay, I'm going to try to shuck one now. So here at the co-op, we have a couple of different knives that we like to use for different oysters. You'll see they're different lengths, and some have an angled tip. I like to use this shorter blade with a nice pointy tip. And here we have a nice, beautiful sea-kissed oyster from Narragansett Bay. So we put the oyster on the towel to keep it from rocking, and we don't want to spill that liquor that's in there, that beautiful seawater. So we'll get the tip at the back here in the hinge at an angle, and it's important to use a rocking back and forth motion, not a prying motion, because that will break the tip of your knife. And you don't want to do that. So you want to get the tip between the hinge and just gently rock back and forth until you feel it pop. There we go. And I got a little bit of shell there, so I'm just going to wipe the tip off so that doesn't end up in the oyster when I finish shucking. And then I like to take it in my hand and keep my fingers out of the way and get right in between the shells there and slide my knife right along the top to cut that muscle. There we go. Should come right off. There we are. And then we'll cut it from the bottom as well to detach the oyster from the shell. And there it is. Beautiful sea-kissed oyster. Mmm.
Hello, with me now is someone I've known for a good long time, and she's been part of every Eat, Drink, Rhode Island festival since day one. So how could I do a virtual festival like this without having my good friend Susan Denise? Hello, Susan.
Hello, happy holidays.
Happy holidays. It is so nice to see you as always. I thought, you, again, like I said, has been an integral part of all the festivals since day one. And part of that, many, many things that you do is, of course, bringing a lot of good wine. And now that you've gone to a new place, a new winery, there's no wine there yet. So we're going to taste some wines that I've got here and that you've got as well, so we can taste them together. But before we get started with the wines, why don't you tell us a little bit about this new place?
The new place. Okay, so I came onto a project in South Kingstown, Rhode Island that is on Tower Hill Road behind Prout School in, between Narragansett and, let's say, Wakefield. And it is an old Catholic school, Catholic church, and it was the home to Tom Shepard, which is a historical Rhode Island family. So I'm coming in as a general manager, and we are building a winery, boutique hotel, and event space that will open in August of 2021. So right now we are in the demolition construction phase of it and restoration of it. You've been there, you've seen how beautiful it is.
Yeah,
so,
gorgeous property.
Absolutely. So we will be planting our own vines in the spring, but in the meantime, we've been making wines coming from the Finger Lakes, Long Island, and California right now. So
I love it. I can't wait to try those wines when they're made and see the property when it's done, because the construction, the destruction looks impressive. So the construction pictures look fantastic.
I love when walls come down and opening up space for things like wine bars and renovating hotel rooms. It's really going to be a unique, beautiful property.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's taste some wine today. We've got I've got a red, a white, and a rosé. So we'll do all three. We'll start with the white first, of course.
Okay.
We got the
right.
See if I could say this properly. Schlossmühlenhof. No, there we go. I already started. I said it perfectly earlier, but now I started on it. Schlossmühlenhof.
Ooh, see, you're very good. I'm not even going to attempt at that.
The Bodenfunk. It's a Müller-Thurgau.
Müller-Thurgau, and it's Trocken, which means it's going to be dry.
Yes, and you're a little close to the camera now. If you hold it up, people can see it. I wouldn't say cloudy, but it's not.
It's hazy.
It's not crystal clear.
No, it is unfiltered and unfined.
Yes, yes. These are all natural wines, all three of them. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm going to pour myself a healthy pour. I know. In the past, on my tasting videos, I've got critique that I don't pour enough, but.
That was my critique.
Yes. Did you see the one where I poured myself half a bottle?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh, you see, you haven't seen that one yet.
Ooh.
So one of the, I'm going to hold them up. One of the many things that Susan did for the festival over the year is keep us organized with these beautiful festival glasses. And sadly, this is the 2019 glass. We didn't have the 2020, but this is our 2020 tasting here.
Absolutely. Right off the bat, I noticed that it's hazy. We do have a visitor, so we
hazy, that's the word.
Dry.
Very dry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bone dry. Good acid.
Bone dry. That's one of the things that you can learn when you're going to a wine store is when you see certain things that will actually help you pick out whether you think a wine is going to be dry or not. That word Trocken right away means dry. Yeah.
Right. Often seen on Rieslings, Trocken, Spätlese, Auslese,
reasons as well. Yep.
Cabernet.
That's down to Julie. Yep. I do have an assistant here, it seems.
Oh, that's nice.
That is nice.
Always nice when our children can join us in a little wine tasting.
So I did a little bit of research on this because I wasn't really familiar with the Mueller Thurgow. Thurgow. I like it.
I believe it's Thurgow.
Great.
I've had some Oregon bottlings of the grape, and I'm not sure if this was my first German or not with the grape, but either way, it works beautifully. I think it gets some great acid. I would think.
Absolutely fantastic acid and light
Seafood.
medium body. Like, don't be mistaken by the color. The color is very pale, but I think it kind of warrants a light to medium body.
This would be great with seafood, grilled seafood.
I thought baked oysters.
Oh, that's a nice idea. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
I will definitely be doing that in the next few days.
Me too. I started thinking of like Christmas meals when I was tasting this, and that's exactly what I thought.
Yeah, baked oysters would be excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could really, it's got such great acid. I could see this with Thai food,
Oh yeah.
maybe even sushi.
I do partake in some sushi.
Yes, I know. You got that sushi place near you that
It's like, this is just delicious.
you're a
Good
regular.
minerality in this too. Like
What's that?
plenty minerality in this.
Yeah. No, definitely. You can almost like licking a stone. Definitely, it puckers a little bit. The dryness is really nice.
I wouldn't let cloudy wines like keep you from buying the wines, especially when we think of like natural wines. Yeah, I think this is
Absolutely not.
yeah.
Definitely, yeah, hazy. But you know, they're just because it's naturally made. You know, it doesn't you know indicate any funkiness or anything like that. It's just a very pure style of making the wine.
Absolutely. And this one is actually just more unfiltered than anything.
Right. Exactly. All right. Shall we move on to the rosé? I know I have not actually had this one before.
I have had this before, and I love it.
Yeah, you were raving about it before we got on started recording.
Yes.
It's a gorgeous color. I really love the color. I mean, the bottle, it just grabbed me visually.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. They did a great job on the label.
So this is the Domaine Marcastan Mamaruta Amasa, which may be the best I've ever done pronouncing French. Maybe because it's almost leans towards one of the Romance languages than just French. But this is 100% Cinsault. And we talked about it before, and now I'm blanking at the moment. What region was this from?
Languedoc.
Languedoc, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Languedoc-Roussillon.
Languedoc area, 100% Cinsault. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I did a little bit of research on this. It comes from 30-year-old vines.
Yeah.
Really beautiful. You don't get the, obviously your typical pale color from it. You're getting a little bit deeper color from this.
Much deeper color. It's a gorgeous ruby, almost ruby red. The Marc Castan, the producer, makes a lot of great natural wines, all natural wines, organic. The nose on this is just spectacular.
Yeah, it's all natural yeast smelling.
Yeah.
So great.
This is really beautiful nose.
So,
It's
our
just,
winemaker earlier about natural yeast and all that kind of stuff, and we talked about how great it is to be able to allow natural yeast in a controlled environment, obviously,
Right.
because as a winemaker, that's your job, is to control the environment, and also as a grape grower. But to not have to bring in a commercial yeast and put it in there and allow the natural yeast to do its job. I mean, this is a spectacular product.
the nose is amazing. And I mean, it's one more expression of terroir with the natural yeast. 'Cause it's coming right off the grapes there, they're growing. And, what's alive there in the air around those grapes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I would say, just a little bit more towards the red end of the spectrum
Yep.
of a rosé than the other way, which I think is great. I think the body's there.
The body's beautiful, nice dry finish.
kind of
like even pasta dishes.
yeah. This has got. I was gonna say this could definitely hold up to tomatoes and meats.
This is the wine. So if we're thinking of Christmas or any holiday, when people come in your house, you start them off with a nice light white. You gradually move them on to a beautiful rosé.
Yeah, this is gorgeous.
Yeah. I like to hide these in the back of my refrigerator because, family that doesn't understand. Well,
Right.
I like to teach them, they don't always, appreciate or want to learn it, which is totally fine.
That's fine.
This is the wine that
You drink what makes you happy. That's the bottom line in life, especially after this year.
whatever,
Drink what makes you happy.
yeah. Yeah, this is definitely, you could drink this with a lot of things, actually.
Yeah. This could run the gamut.
Like a vegetable dish too, like I think mustard
Absolutely.
or something, yeah.
No, this would run the entire. I can't. I mean, I'm just trying to. I'm thinking of foods and thinking of taste profiles and things of that nature, and this would run just about everything.
And it can handle multiple temperatures.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. I like my rosé a little chilled, but this could definitely be a little. I wouldn't say warmer, like a red, but definitely in between. That instead of like 45 or 65, definitely somewhere in between would be nice.
Where the body comes out of it when it's just a hair warmer than you would normally put. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, any type of chilling on the tongue tends to deaden the taste by nature. So this is a 2018. We didn't say that the Müller-Thurgau was a 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And then our red here, the Chateau Saint Jacques d'Albas, d'Alba. I'm sorry, I've read the note. This is the Les Petits Saint Jacques, also 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also from Languedoc.
This is also, yep.
Yeah, also from Languedoc. I'm looking at the back here.
And they have a beautiful chateau that you can stay in when you go there, which is a little like Shepherd's Run.
There you go.
See?
Very nice.
A winery you can stay at. What better world can you live in?
This is a 50-50 blend of Syrah and Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yeah. And it has definitely the color is that it borders like that beautiful kind of raw with the cab. The color is definitely a blend of that.
Oh yeah.
So an interesting thing I was reading about this vineyard was that, especially with this wine right here, but I think actually the majority of their vineyards, is that when they obtained the property, they pulled out all these vines that were high yields, low quality fruit, and they planted low yields, high quality fruit in there, which is an important thing because there are a lot of places in Languedoc that are known for being more like bulk wines, contract.
A lot of your French table wines come from that region. A lot of the $3, $4, €3, €4 bottles in France, which are still spectacular. That's the amazing thing about France. You can go into a store and get a bottle for €4, €5 on a Wednesday night and just have it with sandwiches or whatever, and it's still a great wine. But not
this is
a level up. This is definitely several levels up from that.
Yep.
This is I've had this wine many times in the past. Mm-hmm. I really like it a lot. We've used this at Blackbird Farm many times with our events because it's a great meat wine.
Mm-hmm. It is a fantastic
pork steak, whatever you could throw at it for beef and pork.
Any kind of fatty meat that's like put that fat on your tongue and then you strip it out with like a nice dry juicy red. The good thing about this too is it's not super heavy. So if you don't like heavy and you're thinking Syrah Cab is going to be bad, this is a little leaner.
You're right. I know people hear Cabernet Sauvignon and sometimes they think California cabs, which are big and almost viscous sometimes. No, the French style. I mean, I don't want to generalize. French could make big wines like that as well. I mean, that was the whole Parkerization of wines 20, 30 years ago. But the French style here is definitely a little more pure. Again, a naturally produced wine. I've had a few other wines from d'Alba, and they're just well made, good wines. Quality's there. I like Syrah because it's it just adds a little spiciness to it, in my opinion.
It does. We got a little bit of a spicy finish on there. I always think Syrah is good with duck too.
Duck and lamb.
duck and lamb.
Yeah, Syrah and lamb. There are some Armenian wines. Armenians love their lamb. I do indeed. And there are some Armenian wines, different grapes. They're not Syrah. In Armenia, they grow a few different grapes that you may or may not know the names of, but they're kind of similar to Syrah. It was funny when I had the wines. I thought, well, this is, it's obviously unique and on its own, being from the original winemakers in the whole world. That's where wine started in Armenia. Did you know that?
No.
Yes.
David Dakian taught me something today.
Yeah, that's what they say. They say the oldest wineries were found in the regions of Armenia. But yeah, it's got a little bit of that spiciness to it. A little bit, just it cuts through gaminess, which I think good lamb should be a little gamey. It shouldn't, farmed lamb is sometimes a little less gamey, but I find good lamb out in the pasture has some nice gamey fat to it. And that's also, why I said this has been great at Blackbird with our meats, because all those animals are pasture raised as well.
Ooh, that is delicious. Yeah.
And all three inexpensive bottles. All three are under 20.
Oh,
at the store. I think, if I remember correctly, it was 16, 17, and 16, I think, was the price points at one of the stores that I went to. It's obviously going to vary store to store, but very affordable for what you're getting.
So stores around Rhode Island, all the bigger names.
No, I mean, there's all sorts of great wine stores around. It's nice to see a lot of stores developing their wine lists and being a little better, than I don't want to name the mass-produced stuff, but I don't want to put anyone down. But it's nice to see interesting, all-natural, smaller producer wines at stores.
I agree. Yeah. It's refreshing.
Absolutely. Where's the David and Susan wine store?
We keep saying it.
It'd just be the two of us drinking all day and telling people come to the door, "Hey, we're drinking this. You want some? Oh, you don't have to buy it. It's okay."
Well, I'll tell you. I feel like that's part of our lives.
That is part of our lives. Yeah.
We've taken a couple stabs at it, but it hasn't quite happened yet. I'm still game for it.
We're still young, Susan.
We are. Yeah. At least a couple of years.
Well, this has been a treat.
Yeah, I appreciate it. This has been really great. I've loved tasting. I mean, I love learning about natural wines, and I love understanding that the process can be, like we were talking about earlier, natural yet controlled. You don't have to bring in, not that those wines aren't really great, but we don't have to bring in a lot of stuff to kind of alter the taste of it, that the taste kind of naturally happens. The grape naturally shows itself. So
this is, it's great that this, it's a 2018 Stelvin screw top.
Yeah.
It's still got some good tannins. My mouth is, it's the finish is long. I mean, it's nice. It's really nice.
It's really nice.
For what you're paying. I mean, it's really a great wine. So I recommend these to anyone out there who'd like to try something new or try something they've already had.
Sometimes it's good sticking with what you know, and then sometimes it's great moving outside that box and kind of learning something new. It depends on your mood on that day.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for your time, Susan. It's always a pleasure talking with you. Hopefully next year we get to spend a lot more time drinking these wines face to face.
Face to face.
And we'll try all the new wines that come out of Shepherd's Run. I can't wait to try that.
It's going to be so exciting. It's really a great project to sink your teeth into during a time like this where, I know everybody's having a hard time, but it's like being able to bring out something new, especially an event space of that size where people will be able to spread out a little bit and still enjoy each other's company. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
Happy holidays. Happy New Year. I'm sure I'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah. Happy holidays to you and your family.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Our next cooking video is with Chef Derek Wagner of Nick's on Broadway, making one of his delicious soups. Nick's on Broadway has been a huge help with all the festivals, including this virtual one. Their staff is always very helpful. Derek always does a lot of great work, and they provide a lot of great food for us. Unfortunately, with this holiday season, it's been so hectic and crazy with Nix and with myself that I wasn't able to get Derek on a chat to intro this video. But here he is making a soup that you're definitely going to want to make at home. Thanks again to everyone at Nix on Broadway.
Hi, my name is Derek Wagner. I'm the chef and owner at Nix on Broadway here in Providence, Rhode Island, also a member of Chefs Collaborative. And today I'm here with Eat Drink RI to show you how to make one of my favorite things, something that features local ingredients, something that features incredible sustenance and is absolutely delicious. Best of all, it's easy to make. Soup is so versatile, it's sustenant, it's just soul quenching, warming, delicious, and I'm going to show you one of the easiest techniques and a really versatile technique that I've been using here in the restaurant for years and years. And it's what I would like to call a foundation recipe. It's something that you can take these basic techniques and you can really add to them. You can change the ingredients, and you can take it in a lot of different directions. Okay, number one, it's healthy, it's delicious, and it can be really creative. It can be a real fun thing to make at home with your family. Now, I've got 2 little girls at home. They love to eat. My wife and I, we cook a lot at home when I'm not here at the restaurant, and we love to make one-pot dishes. One-pot dishes, they're just something, again, that just really is enriching and lovely about being able to make something with a wooden spoon, all in one pot, and then feed your family with. My girls love soup. I love soup. Our guests love soup, and I hope you love soup too. Ready? So without further ado, let's get started to make some soup. So the first thing we're going to talk about, okay, when we're putting together a how-to video, is ingredients and tools that you might need. Okay, so this particular recipe, we're here in December, right? Okay, so our vegetable palette, if you will, here in New England, it starts to get minimal as we get into the deeper parts of fall and into the winter. We start thinking about root vegetables or storage vegetables. Okay, now sourcing locally is a big part of what we do here. It really informs, inspires what I do, going out and working with local farmers and helping to showcase all their hard work and effort and bring in all these incredible things into the restaurant and create hopefully tasty and delicious and wonderful meals out of them. But this time of year, at the end of the fall, beginning of the winter, we're dealing with a lot of squash, carrots, we've got butternut squash, pumpkin, we've got acorn squash, delicata squash, sweet potatoes, golden potatoes, so many different varietals. But really we're talking about a lot of beautiful root and storage vegetables. We also have some great greens, which we won't be using in this recipe, but one of the things you can do with this soup is to take some kale or some rainbow chard and wilt it right into the soup. It really, really takes it to another level, and it's very sustenance, very nutritionally dense and delicious. Okay, so let's get back to talking about this soup. I get excited when I talk about soup. And we're going to start with our ingredients. Okay. So what we've got here, some sweet potato, some acorn squash, some butternut squash, some carrots, a little diced onion. You can use chopped or julienne, big chunks. So we're going to puree it, so it doesn't really matter as long as it's somewhat uniform, which will help it cook all at the same time. These are what these squash look like whole. That's an acorn squash. These are some Chartres Farm carrots, sweet potatoes, and butternut. And one of the most important ingredients, a glass of wine for the chef and whoever's coming over for dinner. Kosher salt. I like to use kosher salt. It's not quite as salty as iodized salt. It's, in my opinion, the best salt to cook with. I also love sea salt. I use sea salt more often than not when we're finishing dishes, especially those big, thick, great, large crystals of sea salt. Those are great over some butter and crusty bread, or if you're finishing your dish. But when we build a dish, I'm often using kosher salt. We have some white pepper for this particular dish. You can use cracked black pepper. I use tons of cracked black pepper when I'm cooking. Because this soup is going to be pureed, it's going to be mostly this beautiful orange hue. We're going to use a little bit of ground white pepper to build it, but feel free to sub out black pepper. Also to finish it with a nice ample helping of cracked black pepper is also delicious. We're going to also use some white wine in this. The reason that we use wine when we cook, and especially in these soups, when we're using these basy, really earthy, round vegetables, is because it brings a lot of acidity. Okay, it brightens up the dish, gives it a little bit of lift. If you're worried about the alcohol, don't be. When we cook the wine in this recipe, you're going to see how we build in layers. I talk about cooking in layers all the time. When we add the white wine into this dish, the alcohol cooks off. Okay, so you don't have to be worried about giving yourself or serving your whoever you're cooking for a boozy dish or anything like that, because the wine actually cooks off before we start and continue to add other ingredients to it. So we talked about white wine, acidity, we talked about the vegetables. Now we'll talk about the tools, okay? So tools of the trade. When you're building soup, really important, of course, is to have a pot. You can't make soup without a pot. We could also use a spoon or a heat tempered or proof spatula, or a metal or wooden spoon. Okay, that's really important because you're going to need to stir as you're cooking. Okay, we're going to need some oil. Okay, extra virgin olive oil is fantastic. I use tons of it when we're cooking. It's lots of flavor. When we are cooking here in the restaurant, we also build with some neutral oils with a higher smoking point. This is canola oil, so we'll saute with that. We might start the soup in that. If I'm cooking at home, I may, or if I'm able to really stand near the stove and baby something, I'll probably cook with butter and or extra virgin olive oil, which I love because they both add a lot of flavor. But we are going to use a lot of extra virgin olive oil in this recipe as well, but to finish. Okay, but you can sweat your onions in there as well. Just be careful not to smoke the extra virgin olive oil because that could get very bitter and leave an aftertaste in your soup. Okay. Ladle, you're going to need a ladle when you're cooking a soup or when you're serving the soup. It can be really cumbersome to just be using a spoon when you're doling it out. If you try to pour onto the pan, you'll probably make a mess, and it's really hot, so it's kind of dangerous. So having at least a 2 or 4 ounce ladle is great if you're only going to have one at home because it's small enough to do really simple light things, but it's big enough to dole out larger portions as well. But I'd like to have a 2, a 4, and a 6 ounce, or a 2, a 4, and an 8 ounce ladle are great to have at home. Okay. The next thing we're going to talk about is how we puree the soup. Okay. This particular recipe and this style or method of soup is a pureed soup, which I love because it has lots of body, it has lots of texture, even a weight and heft to it. So it feels really sustenance. It has great mouthfeel. Okay. One of the ways that you can puree that soup is with a blender. I recommend a Vitamix. It's a bit of an investment. They're not cheap. They're workhorses that last forever. They're beautiful, beautiful machines. You can make smoothies. You can make so many incredible things with them. But if you like to cook at home, if you like to make soup, if you like to make salad dressings, emulsifications, I really recommend getting one of these burr mixers or hand mixers, if you will. They're very, very simple. They're not expensive. This one's from Cuisinart. All the major producers of equipment make them. They're not expensive, but they're invaluable. Okay, you certainly can make this soup, pour it into your blender, puree it, pour it back. There are some safety concerns or just things that you need to be aware of if you're going to be pureeing hot liquids in a blender. So this makes it just a little bit easier, 1 or 2 less steps. You won't quite get it as fine and silky smooth as you would with a Vitamix, but very delicious, totally wonderful. I recommend. I'm going to put that down here, and we'll start that for later. So now we're going to start making the soup, okay? So I've had this pan getting warm, okay? We don't want it to smoke, okay? We just want it to get warm. We want it to start feeling that heat coming off the bottom of the pan, okay? And the first thing that we're going to do when we start our soup is put a little bit of oil on the bottom of the pan. Now, when you put oil in the pan, what you're looking for is for that oil to move like water, okay? And that means that the pan is hot enough, okay? If it starts to smoke, you've got to move quick because that means your oil is going to burn, okay? If it starts to move and it's not moving like water, if it's kind of thick still, that means your pan's not hot enough, okay? So now we've got this oil moving like water. We're going to add our onions. Onions in the oil. You can hear that sizzle. It smells delicious. One of the things that we will do is we'll put a little bit of salt in with the onions. Okay, if we're trying to caramelize the onions or create a lot of browning and developed flavors in those onions, we won't add the salt in the beginning. But if we don't want them to get too dark, we'll put a little bit of salt in there, and that will sweat them. It brings out that natural water and moisture in there, and it gives us a little bit of time before everything starts to turn brown. So we're going to sweat those onions. God, it smells delicious. I wish you could smell it. I love the smell of onions cooking. Fantastic, okay? You can turn it up a little bit, but you want to make sure that you don't burn it. This moves really easy, really slow. Now we're going to add some minced garlic. Again, you can completely use whole garlic, chopped garlic, as long as it's peeled. We are going to puree this recipe, so it does have time to cook out if you're worried about using whole garlic. But for this, we're using minced garlic. It's going to make it go a lot faster. Okay, now it's really smelling good. It's making me salivate. We're going to start to add our white wine. Once that garlic has cooked a little bit, you're going to be very careful when you add garlic to a hot pan, because what can happen is that garlic can burn. A little bit of browning is good for some recipes and some flavor development. What you don't want is burnt garlic, because that can be very bitter and it's hard to get that taste out of your mouth. So we're sweating our onions, we've added our garlic, and now we're going to add a couple of ounces of white wine. Wine is in. You heard that sizzle. Now we're going to let that cook off, which basically means that we're just going to let it come up to a boil. It's going to simmer for a bit, and we're going to let it reduce by half. Okay, and what that does is it cooks off the alcohol, but it also starts to condense and intensify the flavor, which really, really, really adds a lot to the soup. I like to use wine in cooking. You can also use vinegar. You can use fermented juices as well if you don't want to use wine. lemon juice, lime juice, orange juice. We use those when we're cooking as well. Acidity is one of the foundations of my cooking and many a good cook. It really, again, adds so much brightness, cleanness, washes your palate, it just adds some vividness to your cooking. If you put too much, it can be really bracing, but just enough or with the right counterpoints, it's really, really lovely. So now our wine has come up to a full boil. You've seen lots of steam come off, and now it's reduced by half. So now that it's reduced by half, we know that we're ready to start building and adding our vegetables. So we've got, this is a small amount of soup, so we're gonna just kind of add things in one after the other. Normally if we were making a larger batch, we might give each ingredient some time to come back up to temperature, okay? And again, it goes back to building in layers, which is really important when you're cooking, as opposed to just dumping everything in the pot, okay? You certainly could do that and probably come out with almost the same effect, but when you start to build in layers, you really bring out the best flavor in every ingredient. Also, as you're cooking in layers, it also allows the pan to come back up to temperature. Each time we add a cold or room temperature ingredient, it cools down the pan. So if we add too much, it takes a really long time for that heat to build back up, which can actually make your cooking time a lot longer. So we've added our carrots, we've added our butternut squash. We're gonna just let those simmer for a second. Is there anything better than the smell of onions in your own cooking? I don't think so. There's the sweet potatoes. You want to let everything cook, give it some time, but at the same time, you do want to pay attention to what's going on in the pan. Stir the sides, stir the bottom, make sure nothing's sticking. Okay, this is just a very simple but durable stainless steel pan. It's got a nice thick bottom, which helps it to conduct some even heat, which makes it a little bit more difficult to burn or scald. It's still possible to do that if you're not paying attention. But you want to be careful if you have really thin pans, aluminum, non-stick pans. If they're a thinner gauge metal, they have a tendency to get hot really, really quickly, but they could burn. So you have to really be active and paying attention. Beautiful. So now you can see in the pan, the carrots, the sweet potatoes, the butternut squash are starting to sweat. They're getting bright, bright orange. We're going to add our acorn squash, and then we're going to add some stock or water. So we're just about ready to puree our soup. The vegetables are nice and fork tender, which is really what you're looking for, which is why I like to cut the vegetables on the thin side so that the soup cooks quickly. You can see that beautiful orange hue on the top, some of the olive oil floating at the top. We're going to start to season it with that white pepper, and we're going to get the burr mixer, and we're going to give it a quick buzz. So now that our vegetables are tender, we've got a burr mixer or hand mixer plugged in, and we're going to puree the soup. The heat's off, everything's tender, ready to go. We're so close. Here we go. So now we've got the soup pureed. It's absolutely beautiful. It's like orange velvet. Gorgeous. Thanks everyone for spending a few minutes in the kitchen with me. I hope you had fun. I hope you get to try this at home. It's really easy. Most of all, it's delicious. Don't be afraid. Have a laugh. Have a glass of wine. Grab some vegetables and have at it.
Now I'm going to show you how to roast this gorgeous piece of Blackbird Farm rib. So let's talk about first where this cut comes from. This is along the rib of the stair. Cows, when they're born, male or female, a female that's never had a calf is a heifer. A male that is castrated is a steer. And most of the beef that goes into the food program are steers. Obviously, we try to keep the calves that are female for giving birth to new calves. And once they do give birth, then they're considered cows. So there's your cattle nomenclature lesson for the day. This is this gorgeous piece of rib meat along the ribs of the steer. When it's a single cut, it could be a ribeye. It's a steak usually, as well, people refer to quickly as a steak, but there's a lot of different steaks in a steer. Single is a ribeye. When you get to the section of the animal where the tenderloin is running along, individual tenderloin cuts are filet mignon. And when you have the T-bone, say tenderloin and the ribeye, and a slightly smaller is the T-bone, slightly larger with a huge piece of ribeye and a huge piece of tenderloin, porterhouse. Mostly just butchery terms, but there you have it. And when there's several of these ribeyes together with several bones, this is a two-bone. It's a rib roast. Now you notice I keep saying ribeye, rib roast, things of that nature. I don't call it prime rib. It is essentially prime rib, but since we're a small cattle farm in Rhode Island, we don't have a USDA grader that grades at that, and prime and choice and all those terms are USDA terms to describe the quality of the meat. But trust me, this is prime rib. Obviously I can't say that legally, but it's just as good as prime rib. So, best way to cook this rib roast. And you could also do this with steaks as well if you want to do this method with a steak, but I tend to prefer steaks hot and fast on a hot pan or grill. But in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to cook it low and slow for a while in a 250 degree oven. Take it out, let it sit, crank the oven up to 550, and then put it back for a certain amount of time. Now you notice I'm not really talking times. I say certain amount, things of that nature. This is your most important tool in the roast cooking kitchen. This is a probe thermometer. The probe goes in, stays in the meat. This sets you off. You can set an alarm so it goes off at a certain temperature. The most important thing, you can find these on the Blackbird Farm website on our cooking page. This is the brand that I recommend highly. I also use this one. You'll notice it's wireless and connects to an app. You don't have to do that. I like that. I cook a lot of meat, so I like that I can have the app. I can track the flow of everything. This is the receiver, and this will go into the rib. But first, most importantly, salt and pepper. Let it rain is how I describe it to my children when I want them to season a piece of meat. Let it rain. Let that kosher salt, this is Diamond Crystal kosher salt. This is my preferred salt. Rain on down. And the other thing is, get it on all sides. This is the most important thing to do. You can season your meat ahead of time. It'll draw out some more of the moisture. If you remember from watching our pork video, the pork cure drew out a lot of moisture from the pork. And then pepper. Now you can add more things if you want. If you want some garlic powder, cumin, thyme, rosemary, all sorts of good things you could put on rib roast. I find our Blackbird Farm meat to really just need salt and pepper personally. You can put it on a roasting pan. You'll notice this is just a simple sheet pan. This is a quarter sheet pan with a rack in it. It's just going to keep it elevated off the bottom of the pan. Let a lot of drippings catch in here because I'm going to make some popovers, also known as Yorkshire pudding. Let me get this probe in. The important thing with your probe is you go in at an angle into the thickest part of the meat. So I turned it around so I could make sure I didn't do this mirror. But so the thickest part of the meat is right about there. So I'm going to go right in at an angle in like that. And I'm going to guesstimate that it's about in the center right there. Yeah, right there. The nice thing about this, as you can see, the meter tells you the internal temperature, also tells you the ambient temperature. So it'll tell you the temperature inside your grill or oven. If it's something you're concerned with, it's great for smoking because that way you can keep the temperature of the smoker going. So this is all good. I'm going to set the target temperature here, custom, because I'm not going to go with the beef custom. And I'm going to get a target temperature of 115. Now that seems kind of low, I get that, but we're going to take it out, let it sit, and then put it back in at 550, like I said, which I'll show you all this, and let it go up to 125, which is a nice medium rare. It'll coast. It'll continue to have heat in it, and it'll coast a little higher. So that's why I started nice and low. So with that in mind, let's put it in the oven, and then we just wait. Your patience will be rewarded. Okay, we've hit 112. You can see it there on the meter screen. And I'm going to put that out of the way and get this roast out of the oven. So here you see this beautiful piece of meat. It's almost cooked, not quite cooked. So we're going to let this rest for a little bit. We're going to crank the oven up to 550. As I said, oop, hit the wrong button, 550. There we go. I did leave out one very important thing when cooking a roast of this. You need wine. Delicious, delicious wine. If you watch the wine tasting segment with my friend Susan, you know what this wine is. I also want to show one other thermometer. This is an instant read thermometer. When I say instant, this is the top of the line for instant. This is the Thermapen. Put this into the meat, it will tell you the temperature within seconds. So if I were to put this in right now, you can see it hits 115, just like that. Fantastic. So we'll let it rest, and then we'll put it back in when this thing hits 550 and sear it up nice and crispy. All right, you can hear I've got my exhaust on because getting some smoke out of the oven. Wait till you see this. Oh boy. Look at that. Look at that beautiful, beautiful steak. It's at 125 degrees. A little smoky, but 125 degrees. I'm gonna let it sit for 15 minutes of rest. It'll coast up to about 128, 130. A beautiful rare to medium rare. Let me turn this oven down since I'm done with that. And after I let it rest for a bit, I'll show you some carving. But just, yeah, look at that. I'm gonna hold it up a little closer to the upper camera. And here you have the final dish. As you can see, beautifully cooked. It's a nice rare to medium rare. Do not discard your bones. These are delicious. I'm gonna have this. And enjoy. What else can I say? You can see nice sear on the outside. Perfect cooked from the center out of the color on the meat. This is great meat. And I'm gonna have it with some great wine. And I hope you hear me over the exhaust because we did have a little smoke. But hey, enjoy. Thank you. So that was our virtual festival. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I hope you laughed, had something to drink at home, made yourself some delicious food, or learned something new that you're gonna make in the future. Thanks very much for watching. Please continue to watch my YouTube channel for more videos. Like and subscribe down below there. And we'll see you in person in 2021. Love you all. Take care.